So, welcome to another Off the Cuff. Annie and Claire here. And today we're going to talk about Halloween. Exciting. What Halloween means to us, what it meant to us growing up, and the misconceptions regarding Halloween. So maybe we'll begin with that. So I'll ask Annie, where do you think Halloween comes from?
Well, I know the real answer, but I know that the general misconception is that it started in the U.S.
Not true.
Not true, is it?
So where does it come from?
It comes from your country, Claire. It comes from Ireland.
Exactly. It was a pagan festival, like in many countries, to celebrate the change of season, the end of autumn, the beginning of winter. So everything was related around celebrating that, eating food, eating nuts, apples,
and definitely my favorite part of year because of the changing colors of the trees and just a really nice kind of change of season festival.
Exactly. I mean, for me, when I go, especially as a very small child, when I was 6 or 7, for me it was bigger than Christmas. More exciting than Christmas.
It was so fun. It was such a fun night. No?
Exactly. I mean, the idea of going out when you're 6 or 7 in the pitch dark, because it was always pitch dark in Ireland, in the rain, but the rain didn't matter.
No.
And you just
it always rained on Halloween. Always.
But no, it didn't matter.
No, it did not. No.
So, and then you dressed up and you went from house to house to do trick or treat. So let's explain the misconception there about trick or treat. What exactly is it?
Yeah, well, I wasn't really clear myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that when I was the adult who had to actually give the candy, if kids came to my house and they weren't dressed in a costume, I would say, well, you have to perform some kind of trick or something. So I kind of assumed that the trick was that we were dressed up as someone different from ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why we got candy.
But no,
that's not right.
No, because it's trick or treat, which it's a little bit sinister. And I remember my mother used to, she didn't like that idea, and it was, no, you go from house to house. But in fact, it's trick or treat. Means if you don't give me a treat, I'm going to play a trick on you. Like, for example, throw eggs at your door. And I remember maybe some elderly people didn't want to open their door. And, of course, the children would be knocking on the door and maybe throwing eggs. So,
oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. But that was the idea that, you give me a treat or I'll play a trick. And also the candy part. We used to come home with a bag of goodies, but it was apples, it was nuts, it was seasonal things. There were the odd candy as well, but I mean, and maybe if you were lucky, the odd coin.
Yeah, some people would give coins, although it would be like pennies, so you could get like 1 cent.
Yeah.
But yes, we would get those caramel apples, or people would make brownies or different homemade treats, but we would also get some candy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this thing that I always find fascinating. And in fact, I was in Ireland last year for Halloween, which I found it really exciting. And I went into a shop and I saw this barmbrack, which brought me back to when I was growing up. It's a bread, but again, it's a bread, but it's got raisins, sultanas, so it's sweet, it's savoury sweet.
Okay. No, we didn't have this. So what is it?
Yeah. And when I said it to the woman in the shop last year, she looked at me like askance, like what are you talking about? But I remembered, in the barmbrack, there were items. And depending on if you in your slice came one of these things, it meant the following. And it's just so not politically correct. For example, there was a pea, and the pea meant you weren't going to get married this year.
Oh.
There was a stick, which meant you were going to have an unhappy, violent marriage.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There was a ring, which meant you were probably going to get married this year. There was a rag, which meant you were going to be poor.
There was a rag inside the food?
It's a small little piece of cloth.
Oh, okay.
But and then a coin, which meant you were going to be rich in life. I mean, it's just, when you think about it today, it's just incredible, especially the stick.
Yeah, I don't think I would risk buying it. Like, I think I would just pass.
And I think now it still has a ring in it, but the rest, I said, the woman in the shop last year, she thought I was crazy. I said, no, I remember it so well. The
pea,
the rag, the stick,
well,
the
yeah,
coin.
how could you forget that? It's probably terrifying.
Exactly.
It's the most
Traumatized
terrifying
for life.
piece of bread I've ever heard of.
Exactly. Yeah. Another place where they celebrate Halloween big time is, of course, in Mexico, and you've lived there, so tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the most special aspects that I took away from Mexico was their their vision of the dead and the night of the Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this was more the 31st of October, but also the 1st of November. And there were two parts to it. The first part was that in your home, you created an altar that was dedicated to the people, your ancestors who passed away or your loved ones. And you would basically put up a bunch of beautiful flowers that were usually orange and different colors of autumn with pictures of those people and their favorite foods.
Yeah.
And the idea was that during the night, the ancestors would come back and eat their favorite foods. And every Mexican, well, I should say in the south of Mexico, because this is where they practiced it, they would all tell you that the food lost its flavor. That if you ate that food the next day, it lacked some of the flavor because the ancestors came back to eat it during the night.
Okay, yeah.
But they truly believe this. They believe that their ancestors were with them.
Yeah.
And that was such a beautiful thing to see kind of really as part of their life, that the people who are gone are still there with them.
Well, it's celebrating death, something that we don't know how to do yet.
We do not. We are very bad about that, and they really know how to do that. And it plays out throughout the year as well, that the people they lost are still with them. The other aspect of Day of the Dead is that you go to the cemetery and you elaborately decorate the grave of the people that have passed, again with these orange flowers and all these beautiful decorations, and it would be very, very elaborate. And you sit there and you sing music, and so people are in the...
Again, celebrating, not mourning and wailing.
People are with instruments, guitars, singing. Yeah. You drink the mezcal, which is the drink. It's like the tequila of the south of Mexico, and people are celebrating the whole night in the cemetery.
Halloween, it's a pagan celebration.
That's right.
But like many religions, they adopted those dates and turned them into a religious thing. But I mean, again, I think the word was always celebration, and Halloween was always celebrating what was gone, what's to come. Autumn is gone, the winter is coming. So turn of season.
And I would say that's the other misconception about Halloween. It's not just about going and getting the sweets, but it's about being with your neighbors.
Exactly. There's kind of a very community spirit about it. And that still exists today, because I say I've been there recently in Ireland in Halloween, and okay, it's gone commercial like everything else.
Yes, of course.
Houses are decorated. It's just beautiful. I mean, you've got hands coming out of the garden and skeletons, and it's really
wonderful.
Nice. It's kind of magical.
It is so magical.
It also coincides with midterms. I mean, we always had a week's holiday as well, so it was always good as well.
Not in the U.S.
Yeah.
Not in the U.S. We wouldn't even have a day off.
Oh no, we were always a midterm break, so that kind of helped it as well.
The U.S. we don't stop for anything. So you would even go to school that day, and then in the evening you would go out for Halloween, and then you had school the next day.
Oh God,
which was
tough.
why it was so exciting when it fell on a Saturday or a Sunday. Then it was like, wow.
So, are you going to celebrate it this year?
We will.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a strange year altogether, but we will dress up, and we'll probably get together with some kids in the neighborhood, and we go to the bars in my neighborhood where they give candy, but we don't go door to door.
No,
obviously,
it's more difficult.
Different.
It's difficult logistically here to do that, isn't it?
Logistically, and then obviously this year is a strange year. You don't want to be going to people's houses, especially the elderly.
Yeah.
So we'll dress up and we'll go around our neighborhood.
Exactly, and play games like we used to do. I mean, apples hanging, and you had to tie your hands behind your back and bite the apple. Dunking. And
my kids are already creating bats that we're hanging around our house. We're decorating our house right now, and we'll carve pumpkins as well.
Of course, pumpkins, which are very American, and that is very American, but not. There is a root to it again, because we didn't use pumpkins because we didn't have pumpkins, didn't exist.
Okay.
But we did do the same with turnips.
Really?
Yeah.
But like your turnips were that big?
They would be a good size. Maybe it could be the size of a basketball. And
really?
And you'd scoop out the inside, and of course they were used for light. So it was when you were going out trick or treating that you'd be able to see where you were going, because
that's exactly it.
Street lights didn't exist.
Oh my gosh, I
But it
didn't
was
know that
turnips. It was
are that
turnips.
big.
Turnips were used in Ireland. Yeah.
Oh, we love our pumpkins. I always am sad that we can't get pumpkins that are so big
Yeah,
as in the U.S.
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're like huge, you
Yeah.
know, and you can really carve different like scenes into the pumpkins.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it every year here in Spain.
Again, it's a creative time as well. Isn't
It is, and it's fun, and there's nothing better than sticking your hand into all that mushy seeds and gook inside the pumpkin.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and they look so good, don't they? When they're done nicely.
Oh, yes,
and
they do.
they can be scary sometimes as well.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween. We hope we've cleared up some misconceptions that exist around Halloween.
I think so, and some old traditions that gladly don't exist nowadays.
That's right.
Like putting a stick in your
Yes.
cake to say you're going to have a violent, aggressive marriage.
Let's be happy that we got rid of that tradition.
Exactly.
And we hope that everyone, enjoys Halloween this year.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
You too. Bye. Boom.
Finish.
Done.
Finish.
Finished.